Coming up in this week's episode. Sedibang TV catches up with high school Dr. Malan's athletes at the Sedibang and AVT Championships. We also drop in at Eat Right to catch up with dietitian Carina Fourie and jovial Mbisha, an up-and-coming athlete, to chat about the challenges of eating right. After winning the Inter-High School Championships for the 7th time in a row, the team in blue came out all guns blazing, giving their supporters something to cheer about. Dr. Malan's athletes showed their mettle on the track and field, with 47 athletes making the Sedibang team. This team will represent the region at the upcoming Gauteng Championships.
And if you get in my way, you gonna feel the wrath. Gotta say it to my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math. When I hate, I attack.
So my name is Carina, I'm a dietitian in the Vaal, and today I'm going to chat about some of the challenges our athletes face. And I have Jovial and Mbisha with me. Me and Jovial has been walking together in this journey for quite a while. I think since high school.
Yes.
And she is now
in varsity.
Let's not go into the ages. The first time I saw you was about what, grade 10, 11?
Yeah, so 2017.
2017? Okay.
Yeah.
So when Jovial came to me the first time, we experienced some challenges around her diet and trying to give her best on the field and just doing what she needs to do. And I think we're going to focus specifically on that and just start with that. So from an athlete side, I think it's always nice to hear directly from you guys what's the things you struggle with, and especially challenges in regards to nutrition and things like that. Is there anything you want to highlight?
So for me, I personally felt like because I work out so hard, I'm basically on the track from Monday to Saturday, then I can eat whatever I want. So when I came to Carina, I realized that what I consume is very important, because obviously as an athlete, with the intensity of our training, our energy levels are very important, and where you get your energy is from your nutrition. So I think that was one of the aspects that I had to understand, is that.
And I think also, maybe we can highlight a little bit on understanding what nutrition is about in terms of macronutrients, micronutrients. Mm-hmm. So very often athletes will be told, you need to fuel up on your carbohydrates,
protein,
and you should have protein, but when should you have protein and all of that. So I think there's a lot of confusing information out there as well. I don't know, were you ever confused about what you heard from me and what you heard from your coaches and what you heard from friends and family?
I think eating right doesn't mean eating less. I think that is something that needs to be highlighted, because we always think that eating less is eating right. It's more eating the right things is eating right. So I always felt like eating less is eating right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think that was a confusion.
So I remember during your early student years, you were in a situation, and I think we had a couple of discussions about that situation in my office, all the pressure that you experienced at varsity with your training and all of that. There was a time where you felt very demotivated. Do you want to go in on that a little bit and tell us what happened there?
Definitely, because I think a lot of people are not aware about like the behind the scenes of being a track and field athlete. So with me, what had happened was I was always very confident in my body and very confident in how I looked. And I always felt like my body was ideal for the sport. But when I moved into varsity and I moved to a new coach, this changed. I was told that I was overweight and my weight was a problem, and that's why I wasn't performing, and that led to me not wanting to eat at all, you know. So I would go from just drinking water, not wanting to have cheat days, which is normal, right? It is normal to have a cheat day. And I think with that being said, I think we need to educate our coaches on nutrition, you know, and we need to also understand BMI, and each individual is different. Yes. So everybody's weight can work for them. You need to work with the person's weight. If a person weighs, for instance, 65 kgs, then you can possibly just make them go heavier in the gym based on their weight, and not necessarily tell them to cut down on their eating, because that will have a negative impact on their performance.
Yeah.
So,
and you were struggling with a lot of injuries at that time as well, and I think by the time you came here, it was in that very difficult lockdown time. I remember by the time I saw you again, I was actually quite concerned because you did lose a lot of weight.
Yes.
You lost some of your muscle mass in that time, and I think we had to do a lot of hard work to correct that again.
And
it took time.
Yes.
It took time.
Yeah, that's true, because I think it also just had a mental effect on me, and I wasn't entirely aware of how much it impacted on me. It had a negative impact on me. So because you're told every Monday I had to weigh myself, and I was told, okay, you're overweight, you're too fat, you're not gonna.
And let's just put this into perspective. Juvial was at a very, very good weight at that time. She was literally at the lowest range her body fat should be. There was no reason for concern about her weight.
That's very true. That is very true, because I mean, you also taught me that muscle mass weighs heavier than fat.
Yes.
And I build muscle very quickly, and I couldn't understand why my number on the scale was a bit too high for my coach. But meanwhile, it's muscle mass, it's not fat.
Yeah, they were not looking at the analysis.
Yes, and that is very important.
And I think it's maybe important to say, should we not recommend that athletes should have a proper analysis, body analysis scan?
Definitely.
Instead of just looking at the total number on the scale.
Definitely.
It's like just looking at a small part of a picture and not really realizing what is there in total.
Definitely. And I think that's something that, like I keep on putting emphasis on, we need to educate our coaches on this, especially when you're working with a female athlete. Like, there's different approaches when you're working with a female athlete, especially when it comes to weight, because weight is a very sensitive topic to females.
Sure.
So the more that they become educated, the better it will be, because I mean, now that I'm in a better space, my coaches, and I mean, when in the past, the coach that had a problem with my weight was a female coach, and now I'm working with male coaches, and for them, if my weight on the scale is a bit high, then I just go heavier in the gym. That's it. It doesn't mean I need to lose weight, because they believe that automatically with the way that we train, your body will automatically go to the ideal weight that it
For
needs
sure.
to be.
And that is such an important
That's
point
what
to make.
that's what my coach believes.
Yes. So I think something we can highlight here is when you give your body what it needs optimally, in terms of nutrients, your body regulates itself. And training hard, having the energy to do what you need to do, preventing injuries, all of that is part of just getting your body at that natural perfect space it would prefer to be.
And your nutrition is one of the most important parts of your performance. If you want to perform well, you need to eat right. Yeah, and that's something that I wasn't really well aware of. I just felt like you need to work hard and you'll be good.
Yeah.
But your nutrition is very important, because I mean, I was always injured, and I think what played a role was not eating right.
Yes, for sure.
So
To varsity and all of that, there was obviously some challenges and all of that. Maybe let's quickly just go into that and give us some background on what you faced back then.
okay, so the biggest thing for me is the transition. The transition was a big transition. So going from being at home, having supportive parents my mother always meal prepped for us. When I got back home, my meal was set.
Yes.
Race days, my meals were set. All I had to do is wake up, and there was slow mac, jungle oats, everything was set for me. And now when you get to varsity, now you need to start doing that for yourself.
Yes.
And not only that, but also having to plan financially, because now you're working on a budget to ensure that you have the right things in your fridge and you're able to, perform at the best that you can, and make sure that you're consuming the right things. That was very difficult. And also having to find the time to eat.
That's the thing.
Having to find the time to eat was
not even preparing your food, just finding time
to eat. Sometimes I would forget to eat.
Yeah.
You see, because you're just so busy. You have orientation, especially first year orientation. You have training. You have school, and obviously the academic levels in high school and varsity is a big change.
Yeah.
So having to find the time to meal prep, meal plan was very difficult. But then with time, obviously it got better.
Yeah, you did adjust. And I think we got to a point somewhere there where we did a specific plan that was more set on a meal prep approach, so that you can make food ahead of time, maybe on weekends, or when you are back home, ask mom to help a little bit with prepping the meals.
Definitely, and she would also make some meals that I could go with to Bloemfontein, and then all I had to do was heat it up and eat. But with that being said, a thought came to my head is that not everyone is blessed with that, not everyone is blessed. Not each
with that support structure.
Yes, exactly. Let alone has the means to go to a dietitian that is going to help you. Yeah.
Okay. Was there ever any pressure on you as an athlete to take anything you were not comfortable with? Should it be supplementation? Should it be fat burners? Should it be substances of some sort? Was there any pressure on you for that ever?
I think gracefully I've never been under pressure like that, and I think that goes to back home.
Okay.
Most importantly, I was never forced to, because with my parents it was more like, okay, she's doing what she loves, and even though I was performing, they never put pressure on me to perform.
Yes.
It wasn't like, yay, you have to win.
Yeah.
You have to this, you have to be at your best, you see. So, but I do know of some teammates that did go through that because their parents put a lot of pressure on them, and now it's like, okay, you need to have this so that it enhances your performance. You need to have that so that it enhances your performance. But with me, I was always very skeptical about these things. And that's why I even came to you when I wanted to have whey protein and everything. I needed your advice on that because I'm not a huge fan of all of these other external factors.
Another challenge that I think a lot of our athletes struggle with is where's their time just to have a normal day?
That's true.
Maybe not just focusing on what's right and all of that. How do you feel about cheat days?
Oh, I love cheat days. I really do love cheat days, but I feel like like I was about to mention, is that there needs to be a balance in everything.
Yes.
You know, you can have one cheat day, but you can't find yourself eating McDonald's 3 times out of 7 days in the week.
For sure.
Which is what I found myself doing, because I was cutting out on so many things, and I would just be like, okay, let me just have McDonald's, because that was like my getaway, you know? So then I'd have McDonald's like 4 times in a week, and that's not good. There needs to be a balance of everything. You can have a cheat day once a week, and then just make sure that your vegetables and your fruits always dominate, you know?
Sure.
Because that's what's going to make you feel good. Because
Yes.
obviously what you feed your body, if you feed your body good things, then it will also respond well.
For
And I
sure.
think that's something that we need to know.
I think something that we need to mention about cheat meals, they are typically lower in nutrients, not necessarily energy. So you're still going to get your energy that you need to perform, but for that meal or for that day, you're going to lack in nutrients like your vitamins, your fibers, and all the superfood stuff that's in your typical nutritious foods. And that's why we can't do this every day. So it's not wrong. And I think we spoke about this a few times as well, all the pressure that's out there, preventing athletes from ever having something they enjoy. It becomes too much in the end. And then you just feel like, why am I even doing this? Because nothing's ever, enjoyable. So.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we're also humans. So I feel like sometimes you
Yes.
forget that because you put so much pressure on yourself. We're also humans. We're allowed to have cheat days. You're allowed to have cake. You're allowed to have fast food. But it's just about balance.
Yes, moderation.
Yes.
And giving your body what you need. Okay. So what the scale actually does, it sends the electric impulse through your body, and that travels different between what is water balance, what is your fat content, your water content, muscle content. So yeah. Okay, so to give you an idea, your body fat percentage is the lowest I've ever had it on my scale. Yes, 13.7. So it's good. It's good. But we'll have to keep an eye on you. So basically, the scale measures the composition in terms of the muscle mass, the body fat mass. It also looks at the body fat percentage. So you can see this history goes back to 2020. So I do not have the history all the way back to 2017, but typically what we see with female athletes is something like this on the skeletal muscle mass, where it will sometimes go up and down, and that is because of changes in the water balance most of the time. It can also be that at the moment Jiviol is at top form. She's going to compete now. And she's rested, and things are looking really good. So the body fat mass, when you look at her body fat mass, so it came down since 2020. So in 2020, when she was struggling with the whole injury situation and all of that, her body fat mass, so here's the norm in this area here. Look how far under the norm she is, and she's still, or she was still being told she's overweight. And I think that is the sad part of it. So now she's in a better place. She's eating a lot more. She's training harder than ever. And she's in the best place, naturally, where her body wanted to go.